It is a good life we lead, brother.
At best, may it never change.
And may it never change us.
In the world of gaming, certain sequels stands as a turning point for their franchises. Titles that takes the foundation of a good idea and refine them into something truly exceptional. Assassin's Creed 2 is one of those games. Following the promising and flawed 2007 original, Ubisoft Montreal returned with a sequel that not only fixed many of the glaring issues of the first games, but also set a benchmark for all the open-world action-adventures titles that will come later. Set against the breathtaking backdrop of Renaissance Italy and introducing one of the gaming's most beloved protagonists, Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Assassin's Creed 2 was a technical marvel and a narrative leap forward for the franchise. This review will explore the game in details, its story, mechanics, visuals, themes, and its long-lasting impact. Let's talk about the narratives and the characters. One of the most controversial changes of this game is the change in protagonist from Altair to Ezio. The original Assassin's Creed introduced players to the eternal conflict between assassins and Templars through Altair, a stoic, emotionally distant figure. While Altair served his purpose, he lacked depth and relatability for many players. In Assassin's Creed 2, the developers corrected course with Ezio Auditore, a young, brash Florentine noble whose world is torn apart by conspiracy and betrayal. Ezio's arc is one of the most compelling in the series. Over the course of the game, he evolves from a cocky teenager to a disciplined and empathetic assassin. His transformation is believable, emotionally resonant, and well-paced. He is not immediately a killer. In the first few hours, they show him as a brother, lover, and a son, which gives weight to his later choices. Voice actor Roger Craig Smith imbues Ezio with charm, anger, and sorrows, and with elevated convictions that the character so much so that the character has become in an iconic status. Set during the Renaissance Italy, a time of intellectual rebirth, artistic achievements, and political intrigue, the game spans several key cities, including Florence, Venice, Forlì, and Monteriggioni. Historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci, Lorenzo de' Medici, and Rodrigo Borgia are woven into the narrative, often serving as an ally or a protagonist. Da Vinci in particular is a standout NPC. As Ezio's friend and inventor, he is not only assist in decoding the codex pages, fragments of assassin's knowledge, but also craft useful tools like hidden blade upgrades and even a glider. His friendly banter and genius invention segments adds personality and flavors to an otherwise serious storyline. The modern-day storyline also continues through the eyes of Desmond Miles. While his segments are limited in AC2, they are far more engaging than the first game. Players learn more about Templar-Abstergo conflict and are introduced to Lucy, voiced by Christian Bale. Sean and Rebecca, characters who add depth to the present-day settings and hint at a larger conspiracy. Let's talk about the gameplay improvements for a second. In terms of gameplay improvements, there are two sections: parkour and expanded combat system. In terms of parkour, where the first Assassin's Creed game introduced was the idea of free running, Assassin's Creed 2 refined it. Ezio moves with certain grace, able to climb nearly any buildings, vault across rooftops, and descend from heights using haystacks, ladders, or water bodies. The controls, while not perfect by today's standards, were a major improvement. Movement felt smoother and less rigid, with fewer awkward jumps or missed grabs. The level design is one of the best improvements over the first game. Cities are built with verticality in mind, rewarding players for learning routes and navigating terrains more intelligently. Iconic landmarks like Florence's Duomo or Venice's Grand Canal offers not just visual splendor but also thrilling climbing puzzles. In terms of combat in AC2 is still heavily counter-based, but it is significantly more varied. Ezio can disarm enemies, chain kills, and wield a larger variety of weapons, from sword and maces to hidden blades and throwing knives. Enemies come with more diversity in weapon types and tactics, requiring players to adapt. With that being said, combat is not so difficult. Once players master the counters, many encounters can be won effortlessly. However, the sheer style of execution and animation, especially dual hidden blade, adds a cinematic quality to the overall game that keeps the player engaged for a long period of time. Stealth in this game also plays a central role in AC2. Although not as big of a role like in first game, but still, Ezio can blend in with the crowds, hide in haystacks, sit on benches or hire groups to create distractions. The notoriety system adds a new layer of challenge, offering high-profile kills or crimes. Ezio has become more recognizable when player can counteract by bribing the heroes or tearing down the wanted posters. Assassinations are far more varied than the first game. Missions now include infiltration, tailing, eavesdropping, and timed pursuit. While not all are groundbreaking, they do provide a more gameplay variety in terms of main missions, and vastly reduces the repetitive nature of the original Assassin's Creed 1. In terms of open world design, Renaissance Italy feels like a living world. The cities in AC2 are true characters in themselves. Florence is opulent and refined, while Venice is sprawling, bustling, and riddled with canals. Each city feels distinct not only in architecture but in atmosphere. NPCs react believably to Ezio's actions, and dynamic weather and daylight cycles enhance the immersion of the game. The fast travel system is a welcome addition, making exploration more convenient without sacrificing the realism. Player can now use gondolas in Venice or stables outside cities. Viewpoint now helps synchronize maps, uncovering new activities and locations. In terms of side content, One of the major innovations in AC2 is the addition of economic system. Players can now earn florins through missions, treasure hunting, or investing in family's villa in Montegiorni. Upgrading the villas improves the shop, generates passive income, and unlocks aesthetic customization. These systems adds a meaningful incentives for exploration and investment. Side content likewise is abundant. Assassination contracts offers a bit-sized challenges. Races just test your parkour skills. Tombs provide Prince of Persia style platforming puzzles and reward Ezio with powerful armor. Feathers and glyphs adds collectibles with lore implications and story rewards. None of these are essential in completing the game, but they do add countless hours of content and depth for those who wish to delve into the worlds properly. In terms of art design, though the game is released in 2009, Assassin's Creed 2 was visually stunning for its time. Even though the game's character models looks bit outdated even compared to Assassin's Creed 1, it is a bit downgraded. The architecture is remarkably accurate, with real-life landmarks meticulously created. Animations, character models, and lighting were vastly improved from the first game. The color palette is warmer and more inviting, matching the Renaissance theme. Sound design also shines, like the street chatters, bell ringing, water splashing as Ezio dives from rooftops, all contribute to the sense of place. Also, I did forgot to mention that players now can swim. That was not possible in the first game. This is a huge leap forward for the series because it adds a lot of new gameplay variety to the overall experience. And lastly, Jesper Kid's soundtracks deserves a special mention. His blend of ambient tones, orchestral themes, and emotional melodies perfectly match with each settings. Tracks like Ezio's Family are now legendary among the fans, evoking nostalgia and pathos in equal measure. Assassin's Creed 2 explore complex themes, including revenge, justice, faith, and manipulation of truth. The Assassin versus Templar conflict is framed simply not as good versus evil, but also a personal journey for Ezio. Even though the conflict is a bit of a black and white, but the overall journey of Ezio really makes up for it compared to the first game. Ezio's personal vendetta against the man who killed his father and brother involves him into broader conquest for truth and liberation. He begins as a man seeking vengeance and ends as a believer in the assassin's cause, a protector of free will. The game also critiques corruption within Catholic Church and noble class, using historical settings and figures to challenge the authority and inspire reflection. Yet it does so without being preachy, maintaining a balance between drama, action, and subtle commentary. Although it has many strengths, Assassin's Creed 2 is not without its flaws. The combat is little bit simplistic, while the climbing and jumping, though improved, can still feel imprecise, especially during high-stakes sequences. While Ezio and Da Vinci were excellently voiced, some of the side characters have been inconsistent or having awkward performances. Although much improved from the first game, Desmond's story still remains underdeveloped here, mostly acting as a teaser for later games. That being said, these flaws are minor in the context of what AC2 achieves overall. Assassin's Creed 2 was not just a successful sequel, it became a blueprint for nearly every future Assassin's Creed title. Its innovation shaped the next decades of Assassin's Creed's open world formula and overall Ubisoft's open world formula, influencing not only the sequels like Brotherhood and Revelations, but also newer RPG entries like Origins and Odyssey. Ezio's story continues in 2 more games, making him only protagonist to receive a trilogy. Fans grew with Ezio, seeing him mature, reflect, and eventually retire. We literally see Ezio being born, and from there we follow him throughout his journey and see him eventually retiring in its own terms. As a game, AC2 was critically acclaimed and commercially very successful. AC2 helped elevate Ubisoft into a dominant industry force. It remains a masterclass in sequel design. By listening to players' feedback and expand on what worked and inject some fresh ideas to the narrative and mechanical purpose. AC2 overall is a landmark title in the gaming history, a bar that Ubisoft may not be able to fulfill, an example of what a sequel should be. It took the raw ideas of its predecessors and transformed them into a polished and captivating experience filled with heart, history, and innovation. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.